Hello YouTube, this is Israel with my video vlog. And now the question I will answer is what is this thing called destitution of the administrator, condominium administrator? How do you do that? What are the regulations to go ahead with that? And what are the controversies within? The first thing I want to say is that it is a complicated subject, but it's not. What do I mean by this? It means that even though it sounds like a big deal to remove an administrator, it is not, because basically it's every year subject. It means every year in condominium Mexican law, the administrator gets re-elected or gets removed out of his position or his authority in the condominium. So basically that's the main gist of it, the main theme of it. And what I would like to talk to you about is that the condominium, the first thing is that we know that sometimes in the assembly it is not the best place to put that in consideration, because all the reports, everything that has to do with the administration is brought up by the administrator. Therefore, it's really difficult for a member of the Vigilance Committee or a member of the assembly to suggest that, even though it happens. But sometimes it happens that there's a specific things that do not have to happen in the administration, that the committee who are responsible supervising the administrator, they have to deal with that. So the first question is whether the committee can destitute or can remove the administrator from his position or not. Well, there's a controversy. Many people think the Vigilance Committee is capable of destituting the administrator. But the thing is, I do suggest that it's not really a good idea. The reason is because the fact that you have an administrator chosen by an assembly, it means that he has all the proxies powers to represent the condominium. Therefore, if the Vigilance Committee decides to remove the administrator, they're taking over all that responsibility, and I don't know if that's healthy or not. The other point is that by doing the decision, it means that you're creating a controversy between groups of people in the condominium. Therefore, I don't think it's very reliable, because you as an owner, you live in the condominium, and well, you don't want to be really in trouble or really in different positions with other owners. Therefore, I think, and I suggest, that the best way to remove an administrator is through an assembly. We have tools, you have tools. One of them is the extraordinary assembly. The Vigilance Committee can do that by their own. They can call an extraordinary assembly to remove the administrator. And within the points of removing the administrator, there's also a big other consideration. Who will take over those responsibilities? Who will be handed those legal representation power? So once you call an assembly, and that time you also have to establish who are these other people or companies who will take over the responsibility. And before you do that, obviously, it sounds like a big thing, but it's something that happens every year. The administrator gets re-elected every year. Therefore, he either gets re-elected or not. So that's the removal of the administrator. So every year it happens, so it's not a big deal. But sometimes when the committee has to decide upon that, I suggest strongly to do it through an extraordinary assembly and do the homework. One of the points, to really do their homework. What does it mean? Is that really look for the information of the administrator, of the companies, of the profiles, of the references, of all these things that will provide the information to do the proper decision and choose the right administrator. And the law on the 54th article, it says, the condominium regime law says that you have 7 days. So therefore, you have 7 days to receive the administration. So you do have to have a list of all the points that you must receive, which are the bank statements, the checking books, all the financial reports, all the capital investments, all really, all money involved. Everything that has to do with the process, and even all the jobs which are pending, like collecting money from owners or people or money owed to third parties. All that you have to know before you take the responsibility. Therefore, one of the main things is that you have to have a list and you have to have a document which states everything that you're receiving. And the law says you can also request an audit from the people who are giving you the administration for you receiving it. But before that, you really need a document which states at what point are you receiving that, because before that, all the responsibility lies on the hands of the previous administrator and not yours. Therefore, what are the pros of removing the administrator? Well, first, you really have the opportunity to give it a new kind of like a refreshment of the administration. And that means you're able to give it a different direction, whether you hire an administrator who's more capable in certain ways or forms in which you want to provide your condominium on a different perspective. We could say vigilance, we could say finance, it could be an owner who will charge minimum amount that will be a savings for the condominium. So it means strategically you can give it a different hint, a different direction of the administration. Second, the pros is that you really cut down with all the bad habits. If your administrator is not doing the proper things, it's not doing what he's supposed to on regards with the law, well, you just cut that directly on the core. And also, it's a good opportunity to refresh, okay? What are the cons? You have to really consider this. If it's not managed the right way, it means you can provoke, you can create more conflicts than benefits. Mexican laws are very protective on labor and employment, so you can like not solve problems but add into the problems. Therefore, you really have to be really professional in the way you handle this. But that's one of the cons. It really can create like conflicts, group of condominiums and different opinions, lack of following up on process. So that's kind of like the cons. Another point is that you can generate controversies among owners because people think differently, they act differently. Therefore, if the administrator gets removed and strong group of people they think he's a good administrator, well, then it kind of like divides the group into one team and another team, and you don't want that in a condominium. Remember that the administrator has learned, and the administrator has gained through time by mistakes. It all goes. It's called human capital. It means it's money invested in that individual, and if you remove him from the administration, that goes with him. So it means there's a learning curve that has to be renewed with the other administrator, and that means errors, mistakes, and I mean errors, they cost money, and that means that's a learning curve. Also, when you hire an administrator, this means this person has a lot of knowledge about the condominium itself, the way it performs, individual information of each one of the owners, access to the accounts by signature. So it kind of like has to do with the liability, with the trust that you give to the other person, and sometimes it is not a plain level. So you want to really think about that. And well, the recommendations I do give you is that before you remove your administrator, make sure you know who you're handling the process to, who will take over, because in the Mexican law you do have terms to answer demands, to answer requests from government, and if you miss that period you can get in trouble. So just really make sure that you know who will receive the proxies, the powers, who will represent the condominium once this person's removed from the administration. The other thing, do your list. You don't want to have a huge gap of missing information. So make sure you do your list of receivables, everything that you're receiving, initial check, balances, all the documents, everything, all the pending informations, make sure you have them because the law says you have 7 days to do so. So, but if you don't, you're then have a gap of information that you're missing. You don't want that. And the other thing, it's really do it professional. Administrators, we know that every year you're subject to re-election. So it's kind of like something, a pill that we had swallowed before, so we know that. Just make sure you do it professionally. You request them, you treat them with respect, you do everything as procedure-wise, and therefore you won't have further controversy. Even though the term itself is has a lot of controversial in it, but if you do it really professional, I'm very sure the procedure, the process will be a lot simpler for you guys. And the other thing, just don't think too big of it. It's not a huge deal. It's something that happens every year, and it's something that you can do it anytime in extraordinary assembly or with a committee, so it's not really a big thing. The big thing about it is that you really have to take into consideration that the condominium procedures, they must continue. You have to have a person signing the checks, doing the payments, so that's the main thing of it. And the other, make sure that the change is for good. That means whoever, either if it's the assembly, the vigilance committee, changing administrator, make sure you do your homework, you really do research, you really do your interviews, because the next person who comes will have basically some of the same issues, because the administration itself has 3 parts of it. It's the owners themselves, the building, and the administrator. Therefore, it's not just only one piece. So you want to change to improve, not to get worse. So take that in consideration and just don't think of it as a big deal. It happens every year. It's something very common that the administrators know. Just do it professionally with a lot of respect. Hope this video helped you. I hope I did the right pronunciation. It's been a long time since I don't speak English, so hope you understand every concept details. Please subscribe. I'll be posting more videos on my channel, and have good luck.